This ain't the first time we're talking about this player, and I hope to goodness gracious that it's not the last. We're talking about a topic today that makes me feel just so bad for Philadelphia Flyers fans, because when it comes to what you traded away to get this player, there was a three-way trade between Vegas, Nashville, and Philadelphia a few years ago wherein the Flyers gave up Nolan Patrick, a player who was second overall in 2017, but who was riddled with injuries and looking for a fresh start in a new team. They got him out of the system, and in return, they got themselves a player that was supposed to be a very potent and competent add to your blue line, only for that player to also be riddled with injuries in the worst way possible. Let's talk today about former Nashville Predator and current Philadelphia Flyer, Ryan Ellis. Not to be confused with the NASCAR driver, by the way, because yeah, that guy pops up once in a while on Twitter on Ryan Ellis-related news articles. But today we're going over a very unfortunate update with Ellis and the Flyers. This is the article I wanted to refer to on Philadelphia Hockey Now. More bad news on the Flyers' Ryan Ellis, plus the fact that you can run with Gritty. This was published by Sam Kirkshady on the 23rd, so from a few days ago you can go ahead and click the link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this piece. But this is what John Tortorella had to say to NHL.com regarding the status of Ryan Ellis. When asked about Ellis would start the season with the team, Tortorella said, "If you're asking me right now, I doubt it." Tortorella doesn't believe Ellis will be ready when training camp starts with on-ice activities September 22nd in Voorhees. Physicals will be held the previous day. "I've had several conversations with Ellis, and as far as how he's doing, that's been an up-and-down process for him." Tortorella said that Ellis was doing everything he possibly could to get ready for camp, but I'm doubtful it's going to happen. Ellis has been more frustrated than anybody about this, that it just hasn't been able to get straightened out, and when it comes to everything that's gone on, this is why it's such a tragic story, I feel, to the point that I even wanted to make this video. But Ryan Ellis was supposed to be a very good addition to the Philadelphia Flyers blue line. Let's go over the profile right here. He's 31 years old, 5'10", 181 as a right-handed defenseman, drafted back in 2009. And back when Ellis was a prospect, he was an absolute superstar in the OHL, boasting up a 100-point season as a D-man before making the Nashville Predators the next season. Give it a few years, and Ryan Ellis was eventually a part of this incredible top four on the Predators, alongside of PK Subban, Matthias Ekholm, and Roman Josi. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals, wherein he was a 30, 40-ish point caliber defenseman. Not the same 100-point caliber guy that he was in the OHL, but that's okay. He was still very good all around, producing points in his own zone, etc., etc. The Preds had the best top four in the league for a certain period of time, with Ellis as one of the main contributors. And so when Ellis was eventually traded from Nashville over to Philadelphia in a multi-team package that included Cody Glass, you had Nolan Patrick, you had Philippe Myers going over to Nashville, a lot of Flyers fans were stoked. Hey, this guy is really talented. He's coming over to Philadelphia, and now he's going to be a part of our D-core because Rasmus Ristolainen by himself, unfortunately, is not enough to get the job done. And so for Ryan Ellis to be added onto this team, that's a great, great add. And then he only played 4 games in 2022. He had 5 points in those 4 games, so that's really good, but he didn't play. If you go over onto the TSN article talking about the same thing, it talks about what happened and why Ryan Ellis was sidelined for the entire year. He was initially given a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks for recovery after aggravating a lower body injury in his first game back from injury on November 13th. However, he did not play again due to what was described as a multi-layered issue involving the complex of the whole pelvic region. The 31-year-old said that after the season he expected to be ready for training camp, but now that appears to not be the case as he enters the 4th season of an 8-year, $50 million contract. Here's another quote from John Tortorella. "To have an injury like he has, miss training camp, and then be ready for regular season, I think it's going to take some time," Tortorella said. "I don't want to speak for Ryan. I haven't spoken to him in a few weeks, but I know it was up and down as far as just what he's doing right now, trying to get himself ready." And so, for Ryan Ellis, I mean, this is a guy that is making a pretty good amount of money, 6.25 AAV until the end of 2027. That's definitely not inexpensive, and for the most part, I think he's honestly kind of worth the money when you acknowledge how good he is in his own zone, how good he is at producing points, especially if he was given a bigger role like he was with the Philadelphia Flyers, because when he was playing with Nashville, I mean, they had 4 incredible defensemen all splitting the load, and so now with Ellis being given probably just a little bit more responsibility as the main guy on a Flyers blue line, You could very much debate that if he plays to his potential, he is worth a lot more than $6.25 million a year. It's just unfortunate because right now, we're not going to have the opportunity to see that right away. This is the Flyers subreddit. This is the same post of that TSN article that we just looked at. Flyers D. Ellis unlikely to be ready for the season. Here's a comment thread that I wanted to read out for you here on this page. Clearsight says, "I'm sorry, but what injury lasts a year plus? If it's an injury that will never go away, what's the point of keeping him and trying to get him back?" Noctilus says, "My guess is some sort of degenerative issue. I know football players have gotten that in their knees, something, maybe as something similar that cannot be recovered from." And then MB2231 ends up saying this. "He's played 71% of the total available games since the 2013-14 season. Almost all of his injuries have been to different parts of his body: pelvis, knee, hand, and concussion. I don't know, man. Pro athletes, most of them at least, have a way higher endurance level than any of us and pretty much the best medical care you can buy." I get that the Flyers are a mess, but something seems fishy with the player himself here. Is he just not participating in rehab the way he should? Does he not condition himself like a pro athlete should? We've heard no answers from him other than a few minutes at a year-end press conference. Now, I don't want to go out there and feed into this idea that there's some conspiracy going on, but there was some speculation earlier in 2022 that we did make a video about, discussing the idea as to whether or not Ryan Ellis actually would want a trade. Now, that video, we kind of just talked about things in the same way that we did here. Hey, Ellis was a talented guy, he was good in Nashville, he got sent over to Philly, Flyers fans were excited, but now he's out. This was kind of the same conversation back then, saying, hey, there are some reports saying that he might maybe want to trade, who really knows, and if that is sort of the case still, then you could try to fill in the blanks as to whether or not that type of idea is incorporated with this talk of him potentially not starting the season out right away, but like, I don't want to go out there and say that 110% that is the case. And this is partly why I feel really bad for Flyers fans as well, not just for Ryan Ellis the dude for not being recovered, because, you know, it's not a good thing seeing a player get injured for a calendar year. But this is what Friedrich Krieger goes out there and says in this comment section. "I want to know how this trade happened and how he passed his physicals, etc. It feels like BS that we traded for him and he was immediately broken. I feel for the guy. I'm sure he's going through it, and having your career end like this must be debilitating, but someone needs to be at fault for this situation. I don't buy that he was healthy and then played 4 games for us and then died. What happened here?" And I guess with everything going on, we're gonna have to wait a few more months, I feel, before we get any definitive answers as to what actually happened, how exactly Ellis is going to perform for the rest of the... What is that? He's got 4 more years left in his contract, making 6.25 AAV. I mean, if he's injured, then that's cap space for the LTIR relief, but at the same time, you'd rather have a guy of Ellis's caliber of talent playing for you than sitting out. And so at the end of the day, Flyers fans, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Ryan Ellis and the entire situation of him not being available to play for an entire year, him still not being able to play for the start of this upcoming season via your coach, John Tortorella? And what is your entire opinion about what he's going to be able to do once he does return, however long that may take? Let's say he returns sometime in December and he plays again and he's in the NHL. How well do you think he's going to perform? Because I've always been such a big fan of Ryan Ellis, but when a player takes a full calendar year off, that's going to be really difficult to try to project how good he's going to be then. I mean, I guess Jonathan Toews was okay, but he was only okay at the same time. Talk to me in the comments, though, all your thoughts about Ellis and the situation. Predators fans, if you want to chime into the conversation as well, what are your thoughts on the situation here? He had been injured a few times in the past with your organization, but apparently it's never been this bad. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.